So basically, we protect the land and water resources throughout the entire, around the globe, basically. Right now, we have 2,000 members in the U.S., North America, South America, and in Region 1. When we do the reunification, we'll be up to about 3,000. And then we're also in the process of doing a merger with a Canadian Erosion Control Association, so we'll be bringing in those members as well. So basically, we work with municipalities to bring education. John McCarty was very helpful when I first was in talks to take over the position, and I've learned a lot about runoff and stormwater and all the different areas. But it's really been interesting because what I say is erosion control is having its moment, because many studies have found that proper erosion control can help mitigate the effects of global warming. So the more that companies and businesses, as they're building things and creating things, it becomes a business case for it, because not only are you mitigating your losses during a once in 500-year storm, but you're also able to help with the climate change as well. So we work really hard to bring education and opportunities to the members so that we can have a bigger profile and make more of a difference in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to thank John Bellman, Tom Buck, and of course John Peterson, and I don't see John Holtzman. Oh, there he is. Okay, there he is. You're going to be taken down, right? Right. Yeah. But thank you very much for doing that. Kent, what a great greeter. Yep. Ann, thanks for that inspiration, and you kept it short. That's nice. And Samantha, the best pledge I've heard all week. We do have, what's that?
I worked really hard.
Okay. We do have a visiting Rotarian, Rob Johnson. Would you stand up? Tell us where you're from.
My name's Rob Johnston, and I'm a member of the Evergreen Rotary Club, but I know Kent very well. We've known each other for quite some time, and he invited me here, and looking forward to learning more about your club. I commute all the way up to the Evergreen Club, so it's a long haul from, I live really close by here. So,
boy, that would be really convenient, yeah. Wouldn't it?
So what did I do? Just put myself right into that. But I've been active in Rotary for the last couple of years and involved in their international service community up there, so looking forward to learning more about what this club does.
Well, that's great. We're doing some great international stuff
great.
here as
Thank
well.
you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And we do have some guests. We have Joel Moser. He's our speaker. You'll be hearing more about him later. We have Andrew, Karen's son. Stand up, Andrew. Take a bow. Andrew is an engineer that is looking for a permanent position. Just figure out, go ahead and...
And I'm probably going to make him join the millennials.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Scott DeWitt. Scott, you want to stand up?
Good morning. I'm a visitor. I'm very new to Rotary, so this is my first meeting here. I was referred here by a member of the Aurora Club, and he had very good things to say. So thank you for welcoming me today.
Well, thank you, Scott. We have Raphael, our exchange student. Raphael, you want to stand up and take a bow? He doesn't want to stand up. Okay. And then we have a return visitor, John Lundberg, one of Tripp's friends. Even though he's a Tripp friend, he still came back. So stand up, please.
Hey, good morning, John Lundberg, here to help Tripp get through the day. I visited, I think back in November. Just wanted to come back and see what you had going on.
All right. Well, thank you for coming back. Hope we see you again. Okay, at this time, if I could get Gordon Close, Deborah Jessup, and Lori Overton to come up front. See? Haven't even been inducted yet, and you're already in trouble. You guys will have to forgive me. I forgot my full-size sheet, so I got to read it off this phone here. But fellow Rotarians, it is the duty of our Rotary Club to add new members from time to time so that we may not only increase our usefulness and influence as a club, but also to extend the spirit of Rotary throughout the community. Today, I welcome to our ranks and admit membership to these three wonderful people. I wish to impress you. Sorry. You want them to clap a little louder? Is that, okay. I need somebody back here with an applause sign.
These guys are going to fit in, I can tell.
You've been elected to membership in this club because your fellow members believe you to be a worthy representative of your calling, and also you possess the qualities that will permit you to exemplify in your public, business, social, and private life the true spirit of Rotary. I wish to impress upon you that you have been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of Centennial, but also the Worldwide Association, and by virtue of your membership in this club, you'll be welcomed into any fellowship of any Rotary anywhere in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and responsibilities. You'll be expected to attend the club meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club in its task of carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of the community. I ask all members to rise. Rotarians. In the name of the Rotary Club of Centennial, I now formally admit you to membership in this club, and I'm not going to fix these pins to your labels because you probably, or to your lapels because you've probably already got them. But I will hand you these packets. We do have a very abbreviated blue badge process because you guys have already proven that you're Rotarian. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you our newest members and charge all of you to welcome them. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. So, come on, a little more applause. Come on, let's go. All right. Come on up here together. Come on. There we go. All right. Very good. Thank you. Welcome. We're pleased to have you. Can't wait to hear about the guitars for vets. Okay, I do have one announcement. There is a freshwater walk for Malawi, Africa, and that's going to be on the 14th of April. I have the details over here at my chair if you're interested in doing this. Okay? It's to raise funds, I'm sure, for the Malawi project for freshwater. John McCarty, would you like to take the floor for a minute?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to make one more pitch. This probably won't be the last one. It's just one more. Trying to encourage one of you or a couple of you to consider a trip to Madagascar. Engineers Without Borders has scheduled their trip for the first 2 weeks of June. You would need to make a decision in the next month or so if you'd like to go. The club is going to be purchasing bucket filters that will be assembled and distributed on this trip to the villagers in Annisparee. And it would be great to have a Rotarian accompany the Engineers Without Borders since we're doing the funding. The club will pay travel expenses for the Rotarian, so please give it your consideration. 2 weeks, people in Madagascar are amazing. The country is amazing. You would find it to be an amazing experience. Andrew was there with Engineers Without Borders about 2016, the end of the year, and was doing some assessment work. Tried to be there when they were drilling the first wells, but the well driller came late, and so the team had to return. But Andrew's very familiar with the village and the travel there. If you've got any questions, Andrew and I would be happy to answer them since we've both been there and let you know about that. But please give it your serious consideration. We do need a Rotarian to travel with Engineers Without Borders. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any club business that they haven't talked to me about yet? Yes, Mark.
Just to let you guys know where the Water Eco project is right now, we've just submitted the grant to the district level. They're reviewing it, and once they approve it, we'll be going on to the international Rotary level.
That's great. That's great. Yes, Cheryl.
Good morning. Still pleading for bingo prizes for primetimers. Trip has graciously agreed to donate a whole bunch of alcohol. So, so what a shock. So if you have a prize you could donate, please, please, please say something or email me because we are in desperate need. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a lot of new faces. One of the groups that we support quite extensively is Integrated Family Community Services out in Littleton. They serve families in multitude of ways. I had a very, very in-depth meeting with Todd McPherson, who is their Director for Development, and we are trying to streamline how we support their organization and creating a calendar and being more proactive up front. So what I would really, really appreciate is if you run or in charge of any type of little project, please email me and let me know so we can have a quick powwow. We will go to the board and ask to streamline how we support them, and I would rather we all gather together and make it so we can communicate to the club best way possible for those decision times. Thank you.
Randy?
Just a reminder that this evening, check group number 2.
The last one.
The last one, the best one, will be this evening at 5 o'clock at the Urban Sombrero. Anybody that wishes...
Randy, it's supposed to rain this afternoon.
Oh, we're canceling, because we're really, you know, kind of dainty. Yeah.
You know, Randy, the disrespect that is extended to chat group 2
It has.
is astonishing.
It is amazing. And I'm going to read something else out of Deborah Fine's book here in a moment. How not to knock chat groups. But yes, it'll be this evening at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock at Urban Sombrero. And if you haven't had a chance to join one of the chat groups that previously happened, like the one that happened on the day of the blizzard, Randy Ernst group, then you can come to ours. We'd love to have you. And for those of you that have been traveling internationally, you might want to come to one. So anyway, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, Urban Sombrero off of Clinton.
All right. Samantha Rowe, would you like to give us a quick update on State of the City? You guys all remember that the 17th is the State of the City, right?
State of our City is coming up April 17th, Wednesday. It's 11:30 to 1, and we currently have 33 tables that have been sold. If you are interested in volunteering, let me know. And when you go on to the website, you can go in, and it has 2 options. It's member and guest. Make sure you go under member because you will only be charged $22. You will not be charged the $50 that it costs for individual tickets, and you can also select if you want to volunteer when you're in there. So, any questions?
Good.
Alrighty.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else before we get to travel gifts? Any travel gifts today? Yes, ma'am.
I bought back it's kind of cool. It's a 3D puzzle of Waterun, which is a temple in Bangkok. And so it's kind of nifty. But just personal experience, I've traveled for a month and I was hoping to make a Rotary meeting. I found that the club locator didn't match anything that was happening on the ground where I was. However, 2 of the it was in the countries I was in. But anyway, 2 of the hotels that I stayed at, there was a big Rotary sign, so I was excited and I went up to the front desk. One of them said that they hadn't met for over a year. And the other gentleman, the other place we were at, the gentleman had no idea the sign was there when he started working there. So we are represented, but finding a meeting is another thing altogether. Thanks.
That would have been a good travel gift to bring back.
Well, thank you.
All right.
You know, Tim, I'm not saying that she's right about the club meeting places, but the Centennial Rotary Club of Centennial, Colorado is not even on there. I wonder how can we go about remedying that?
We got to get a hold of somebody from International because they control that.
Or maybe Bev?
Probably Bev Mendel can steer us in the right direction.
I'll take care of that. We need to be on there.
Yeah. All right, well, if we have no more travel guests, Catherine is going to handle our Happy Bucks today.
Yay. I haven't done it in a while. And I have a trivia question. So there's $20 that goes into the pot if you can answer my trivia question. It is the Stanley Cup season almost, and the Avs are almost there. But this time represents 100 years ago, something monumental that has only happened once in the Stanley Cup history happened. I want to know if you can answer what that was and what is inscribed on the Stanley Cup in honor of what happened 100 years ago. So I'll start here. Anybody happy?
You're so cool for even knowing whatever that is.
So I have a French-Canadian neighbor whose sons are obsessed with hockey, play hockey. And so I totally cheated because she told me. So it's what happens when you live next to a French-Canadian.
Just roll with it.
Do you need change? Okay.
Happy 10.
Happy 10. Happy to be joining this club. Not sure about all of you yet, but we'll assess it as we go along. Also, he's cheating. I also wanted to say that I actually started taking Pilates. I've had 9 surgeries in 7 years, and so I decided that I needed to get better core. So I went yesterday, and I thought I was going to fall over, but I made it today to the meeting.
Hi, I would like to again thank you for allowing us to join your club. And tomorrow, I don't know what your policies are about intertwining other clubs. I know what we like to do, but I'm meeting with the president of the Niwot Club tomorrow, trying to see if they're more humorous than you guys are. They seem to be pretty nice. But they're planning a function in May, on May 16th, and they've asked us, you're going to be gone, to perform for them as a function. So it's a money raiser, chocolate, wine, and something, whatever. I'm going to find out tomorrow what it is. But representing this club now, we will be helping them do a fundraiser in May. So if you're around Niwot and like chocolate or wine, come up and join, I guess, with the festivities.
I have 2 here, one for our new members and one, I'm just glad to be here.
I have $1 because I'm happy that we have 3 new members and we welcome you to the club.
I just wanted to thank you for your warm hospitality for my visit here. Thanks.
Just happy to be here.
Just happy, just happy. Just happy.
So we'll come up with another purpose. One is for all the new members. Hey, also for hopefully successful surgery implantation of a post for a new tooth.
Oh. Yeah. Happy, happy, happy?
Yeah.
I'm happy for all the guests today, especially my new friend, Scott DeWitt.
I've got 3. One is to welcome our new members. Looking forward to getting to know you. The second is for all our guests, including my son, who's going to join the Millennial Club, I'm telling you. I got to get him to a meeting first, and then we'll see. And the third is Go Rockies, home opener on Friday.
I'm just happy to join you all again.
For all our new members.
I've got one, home opener Friday, go Rockies.
I have three, one for each of our new members. And watch out, I'm going to come talk to you about Meals on Wheels.
I have two. The first one is for Charlie's successful battery change, and that all went well. And the second one is that I'm happy to be back on 2 legs instead of 2 legs and a cane.
Nice.
$2. One, new members, welcome. That's great. And the other one is we had an office move last Friday night in a snowstorm. I was warm inside, positioning stuff on the receiving end, and so I didn't have to be out there, but it did look cold and miserable. And it was successful, and I think the only thing we seem to have lost is one roller on one of our chairs, which is now out of commission, that we can't seem to find. It's probably on the ground someplace.
Yes. I have a happy 5. Thank you very much for being so welcoming. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you much better as well.
I have a couple bucks. Welcome to Lori and all the new members. Welcome.
I have 1 sad buck. I noticed Andres isn't here. I watched Duke lose by 1 point. I'm sure he's psyching himself up for the opening day of baseball, so he's moved on, I'm sure.
Eric was sad about that too, right?
And for our 3 new members, welcome. And then the last buck is last night I went to Pink concert with my daughter, and I have to tell you, if you ever have an opportunity, it's pretty amazing. She flew over the entire audience, and she flew right over us. So if you don't know Pink, she does a lot of acrobatics. Oh yeah, she actually has conquered flight.
I thought so.
So yeah. So anyway, pretty amazing.
I have 3 for our new members. Really excited to see you get your blue badge, which will be pretty easy on this one, and then 1 for our visitors today and future new members.
Yeah. No pressure.
I'm just happy to be here, happy to see organizations like this that strive to contribute, and hopefully I get to know you guys well enough that I'd like to become a part.
We let Trip in, so the bar is really low.
You can't come back until.
I've got 5. 1 for our visitors, a second for our speaker, wherever they are. Ta-ta, hi. Third is Duke falling apart. I am a March Madness freak. I had them going all the way, beating North Carolina in the final game, so I'm screwed. My entire bracket's fallen apart, and I've been so hyper about it, and my son came downstairs the other day and very quietly whispered in my ear, I'm number 920. And I'm like, go to your room. So.
These are our 2 birthday bucks. Our twins turned 38 today.
Nice.
Well, I have 5, and welcome to all our new members. And we're going to surprise you in June and bring them in as one of our programs. And I'm delighted to, in a little bit, introduce you to our wonderful speaker.
I got 5 today. It's been a while since I've been to a meeting, so I'm one of those new faces again. I'm so old, I'm new. First one is both my daughters down in Georgia placed in the top 3 in both their district track meets. My oldest daughter in high school threw her PR in the discus, and ended up second in the district. Second thing is, the reason why I haven't been here is my company just opened two new major business cases in Nairobi, Kenya, and Manila, Philippines. Those will also be opportunities for me to open the aperture for our Rotary Club partnerships as well. And for Raphael, I enjoyed a zünftiges Frühstück breakfast in Switzerland last week, so I thought of you while I was eating my Rösti. Next is for all the mourning for basketball fans. My mom's alma mater, Auburn, is in their first Final Four ever. And then finally, what I thought was just a major accomplishment this week is Connor Pico, Mayor Stephanie Pico's son, through a lot of really hard work and a lot of waiting and a couple of rejections. He finally was accepted to the Sierra Nevada Corporation Engineering intern program.
Wow. I have a couple. Lori, Deborah, Gordon, welcome. We look forward to a lot of contributions on your part. Hopefully we can make your life a lot of fun. The other one is for all of our potential new members that we have here. And once again, there's no pressure. Just don't put Trip on your biography, okay? Okay. Just a couple more things before we introduce our speaker. We do have blessing bags over here for you to take. Put in the back seat of your passenger side of your car, and that way you can just reach down and hand them out. I think it was about 30 of the initial load, and I'm down to 5 because, our vehicles go all around town. So they do make a difference. People do appreciate them. And what was the other one? Mom, what was the other one, John? Oh, Madagascar. If I could afford to take 2 weeks off out of my business, I would definitely go. So I think that some of you need to think about what you can do, and I tell you, we can make a real difference in that little village with these water filters. What they have doesn't work, and what we have does.
So answer to the trivia question, since nobody tried to guess. 100 years ago, the Stanley Cup was called off for Spanish flu. The series was tied 2-2. The players were way too sick, and so the referees finally called it. One of the star players from the Canadian team actually, unfortunately, passed away 4 days after. But on the Stanley Cup, it's written influenza. So, fun fact to clip inside.
Okay, with that, could we please introduce our guest speaker?
I will. In following Randy Pye's idea 5 years ago that he brought to Cheryl and I to introduce companies located in Centennial. And Christmas time, I was watching the Bronco game. And at halftime, they showed robots pouring beer. And then they went on to tell about these robots. They're from this company called MSI Tech, located right here in Centennial, Colorado. And with that, I went looking up MSI Tech. So today, our program is about MSI Tech. And I'm going to introduce to you Joel Moser. Joel has a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Wisconsin and an MBA from the University of Colorado. He's been involved in robotics and the factory automation industry since 1998. After college, Joel started his career in the Seattle area as an automation engineer, where he worked on projects for companies like Boeing, Microsoft, and Intel. Joel has been with MSI Tech in Denver since 2007, serving in a variety of roles that have included application engineering, field sales, robotics product management. And currently, Joel splits his time between new business development and engineering management. And he just told me he has a little girl that's 2 years old. So please welcome MSI Tech, Joel Moser.
Okay. We're good?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you all for having me today and for being so welcoming. I'm going to talk about MSI, what we do, that sort of thing. I know that we have some time reserved at the end for questions, but if you're not technical and if I start getting carried away with anything and you don't understand what I'm talking about, do feel free to ask questions at any time. This is going to be a little bit informal of a presentation. So, there we go. Okay, who is MSI Tech? What are we? A technology-based solutions provider specializing in probably about 3 different areas: factory automation, industrial networking and computing, robotics, and we also internally here in Centennial, we have a section of the company where we do our own manufacturing, where we do value-added panel builds and other equipment that we'll be talking about for our end customers. If you're not in the industry, this might not mean much. I know when I was a younger man and I would be in the bars and a young lady would ask me what I do and I say something like that and I don't get very far. So,
but that's the only reason.
So I guess maybe I'll give you a couple of examples of what we do. So if there's a company out there, and let's say they make the proverbial widgets, they're very knowledgeable about their product, and they're very knowledgeable about their process to make that product. And let's say they're at a point in their life cycle where they either need to make more of them, or they need to increase quality, or they need to make them more cost effectively. They may not necessarily know how to do that. That's when they would reach out to a company such as MSI Tech. So we would go in and we would collaborate with that customer, get to learn their product, get to learn their process. And what we bring to the table is we are experts in all of the technologies that would allow them to reach their goals. So that customer may not be an expert in servo motors or sensors or industrial computers or those sorts of things, but that's where we can come in and be that missing piece to the puzzle to help them build whatever sort of machinery that they need to increase quality or increase production or those sorts of things. I should start this so I don't. Let me know if time-wise. A second good example is let's say you're a company and you make a machine, and that machine goes into hospitals. And I would like to have, they would like to have remote connectivity into that machine so that instead of putting somebody on a plane, going out there and doing a software update, they can do it remotely. Well, hospitals, IT departments aren't super thrilled on poking holes in their firewall so that people can get in from the outside world. In fact, that's exactly what they don't want. So what we can do is we can help them put equipment on that piece of on that machinery in the hospital that doesn't need access to their network at all. It will just talk via cellular. We can also help them make sure that everything is secure. It's on a private network on Verizon and so forth. So now they do have remote connectivity into their machine. It helps them decrease costs, increase responsiveness to their customer, and everybody's happy. So those are 2 examples of projects that we would work on with customers. Okay, where are we? Our corporate office is right down the street. We're a couple blocks west of IKEA. We're right on the corner of, Yosemite and Nichols. So I'd say we probably have 20 or 30 people out of that office, all of our admin, most of our manufacturing, and then a pretty significant engineering and sales arm out of that office. We cover Wyoming and a little bit of Utah. And we also have offices in Phoenix, Orange County, and we have engineers working out of their home offices in Salt Lake City and Boise. So we started here, and then we very quickly added Phoenix. We covered the 4 corner states for probably 15, 20 years before we expanded to California and some other regions. One of the things that I enjoy about MSI the most is just the wide variety of the projects that we work on and the wide variety of industries. There's a couple of, if you look at our top 5 customers, they're in 5 different industries. Energy, whether it's oil and gas, solar, those sorts of things. We have medical device manufacturing, semiconductor customers down in Arizona. We even have we have consumer goods. You wouldn't think about it, but one of our biggest customers is in Salt Lake, and they make automated quilting machines, which when that email came in, we almost just deleted it because this is not what we do, but it's rather astounding how many retired ladies out there have a lot of money in their burning a hole in their pocket, and they invest in these automated quilting machines. So they're one of our biggest customers. Contract manufacturing, home building. Actually, Sierra Nevada used to be a customer of ours. I'm not sure if you guys are now or not. We were right next to you in that smaller building over by Fireball. Anyways, and yes, if anybody's wondering and they just don't want to ask, we are involved in the Colorado cannabis industry and the CBD processing, those sorts of things. That industry is starting to get more professional. They're not as big of a bunch of idiots as they once were, and they also need automation. So it's a wide swath. It's pretty enjoyable. On any given day, I'm working on anything. We are engineering driven. Our team is almost all degreed engineers, including our sales staff. A lot of us, for whatever reason, came from the Midwest, Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois. But we do have more and more local talent coming in. On the right side, Lori's our one millennial. She's from Mines. But again, like what I stated earlier, we don't just go in and try to sell a customer a motor for the sake of selling a motor. We go in and we try to really understand the process and the problem, and then we provide a solution. So that's, we basically give away our engineering expertise. We will size the systems, help them come up with exactly what they need, and then generally they'll hopefully buy from us. There we go. Okay. Yeah, another service that we provide, besides helping them, design their machine, is we try to increase how quickly their product can go to market. One of the things that we've noticed, not only in this area but throughout our territory, is after the Great Recession 10, 12 years ago, a lot of companies shed engineering talent, and then they didn't necessarily hire it back. And so there's a lot of companies out there on kind of skeleton crews as far as engineering goes, and there's too many projects. So that's another area that we can provide value, is we'll come in, effectively act as an extension of their engineering team. We can actually do some design, like in these photos here, the upper one, we're doing what we call a proof of concept. So if a customer is thinking about automating, they want to use a robot in a certain instance to move something from here to there, they need it to do so many parts per minute, move at a certain speed, pick something up a certain way, we'll do all of that. We'll do all that for them. So before they ever have to, purchase anything, they have a very high level of confidence that it's going to work. And all of that code then is given to them, and it just gets them that much farther along the path of having that robot installed and making money for them. In the bottom picture, James is on our industrial networking side. That bank of routers is actually all customer product that went into a what did that go into? That went into a data storage facility somewhere in, I think, maybe Idaho. So you think of cloud computing, whether it's Azure, AWS, whatever, that's exactly what this was for. So James set everything up, set up all the IP addresses, all of the security and everything, and it shipped out to the customer where they really had to do very little than just plug it in and install it, and they were on their way. I've been doing a lot of data center stuff in the last 2-3 years. Okay, so a little bit deeper dive in what are the technologies that we work with. I kind of look at it as 3 legs of a stool. The first leg is robotics. There's a lot of different types of robots out there, and I could talk about this by itself for 20 minutes. The last 5-6 years or so, there's been a huge increase in adoption of smaller tabletop robots like what you'd see on the right-hand side. They're called collaborative, meaning that they're safe to work around people. These didn't even exist 10 years ago. If you look at the robotics field 10 years ago, it was all the giant stuff that you'd see at the end of a Terminator movie where they're moving around and they're huge and they can kill you. Those robots can kill you. So they had to be guarded. They were behind hard guarding and fencing, or there was some light curtains or something. Essentially, the robots were here, the humans were here, and at no point in time did they interact. Well, now, sensors have come so far, computing technology has come so far. This new breed of robot, this collaborative robot, is the exact opposite. It's literally meant to work side by side with a person, as essentially now the robot is another tool for that person to help them do their job. So we sell more of those than everything else put together. It's a huge growing market. They're less expensive than they used to be. They're easier to program than they used to be. So what that means is it's a lower ROI, lower return on investment. So smaller companies and medium-sized companies now can start to use robots. You look back 10 years ago and everything was so expensive, there's a good reason why really the only user of robotics was automotive, because they're making 10 billion of a part, and so they can amortize that cost over a lot of parts. Well, this really empowers small companies to automate because those costs are gone.
Question?
Sure.
So I have a client who has a national patent and is a global distributor for a machine that he had designed.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's drinking from a fire hose. They literally make these by hand in their shop.
Mm-hmm.
If they've got that patent and you contract with them to help them so they can speed up and maximize productivity, how do you work in relationship to the patent that they have? Do you have your own patent on the machines that you create for them? How does that work?
We do have a couple of patents in-house, but generally in that relationship, we would come in, again, we would walk the floor, we would try to understand his process, try to understand his pain points. There are probably certain tasks or operations that are easier than others. Sometimes maybe not in this particular case, but sometimes if you walk a floor, there's one job in particular that is awful. And it's hard to keep that position staffed. So if the task lends itself to robotics, then that would be a good place to put one, because the job, we call it the three Ds, dull, dirty, and dangerous. Those are usually good candidates for robotics or automation. A lot of people these days, they're not automating because they think it's neat. They're automating because they can't find labor, or they're hiring people and those people leave after a week or 2 weeks and they just can't keep that job filled. So long story short, yeah, we would come in, we would walk the floor, we would say, that's pretty easy to automate, that's low-hanging fruit. That is terrible. You need to have a person doing that because it requires dexterity or vision. You need that person to be creative. Those are things that robots are not good at least at this time. So. Yeah. The robot itself is only part of the story. Really, usually the bigger challenge is the end effector. What's acting as the robot's hand. It's still pretty tough to beat. It's putting a person in there for whatever it is these days, $20 an hour, $30 burden. You're getting 2 incredible manipulators when you do that. If you want to put this level of dexterity on a robot, it's going to be exceptionally expensive. So luckily, we don't usually need that. We can get away with a 2 or a 3 finger gripper to pick up parts. We can pick up a lot of stuff using vacuum or suction cups, if it's boxes, that sort of thing. The other, what can be challenging is some applications require vision. Again, humans are very, very good at when vision is required. For us, we can add cameras, we can add overhead cameras, that sort of thing, but then it starts getting complex and expensive. So those usually are tasks where we recommend keep your operator. Let's see if this plays. This is just a quick video of an example. This was a robot installation that we did in California not that long ago. It's essentially machine tending of a injection molding machine. So again, going back to sort of dull jobs. In this particular case, there was an operator there putting parts in and taking them out and pushing the start button all day, and that's a type of a job where it's difficult. It's difficult to keep somebody there. They go and they find new work. So we automated the entire thing from opening and closing the door to picking up the parts, placing them on the table. That noise you hear is a air blow off. So we're cleaning the mold after we take off the parts. And so forth. So that's a really good example of what we do, the type of engineering services that we provide. We designed that entire end effector. We did all of that programming, and then we installed it at the customer. So one more video, is it this one? There we go. I'll only show part of this because it's kind of long.
You got time. How long is it?
That's probably 2 minutes.
But no, go ahead and show it.
So this is where the whole thing started. This was back to the Bud Light beer bot. So the Broncos saw us at a different event, and they reached out and they said, this is probably back in November time frame, and they're like, hey, it would be really cool. Let's do something for a December game. Can you automate pouring beer? I was like, yeah, we can. So same thing. We designed the gripper fingers to hold their cups. We brought in the kegerator. In fact, it's funny. We bring this $30,000 robot, and we expect everybody to key on the robot, and instead everybody keyed on the kegerator because it fills the cup from the bottom. You'll see it right there. So there's actually a hole in that cup, and everybody was just jazzed by that. So yeah, that was just a fun project. That is by no means a finished product. You're not going to see that at every Bronco game this fall. It was just meant as a fun.
We sell beer in Centennial. We could always put that in.
Yeah. It's just a fun demonstration of technology that we did for those guys. Yeah. So.
How does the cup work? I don't understand.
Yeah, see, this is it. This is exactly. Forget about the robot. Robots have become commodities. So the cup, on the bottom of the cup, there's a hole, and then outside of the hole is essentially a washer that's embedded in the cup, and then what sits on that is a little magnet, and so the magnet seals the cup. So, and when you put that whole thing on their kegerator, it lifts the magnet up, so now there's access. It fills the cup. And then when the robot or the person pick up the cup, the magnet receipts.
So it's like a $7 beer in a $20 cup.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap cup. They were about they're about 25 cents per cup.
That puts us out of the market.
It's a lot in the cup business, but if you're paying $8 for a beer, then I guess it makes sense. Yeah, and the way they justify it, I mean they're an entire company out of Ohio. The way they justify it is, you go over here, you set the cup on here, it does its thing. It has a timer. You're free to leave. Right now they have to sit here like this, and this is what they're doing. But if they set their cup on there, they can go and get hot dogs or whatever else, and it, again, increases productivity. So you either got to make more money or you have to decrease costs. That's the only way capital equipment makes sense. So, yes, sir?
What would be the cost of that robot?
So that robot right there is about $30,000.
The club can't afford one.
No, I'm just thinking how many beers you could have to sell to pay for it.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I mean, that was just a fun demonstration of technology. That would be a difficult task to justify. You would either, first of all, there's only, 8-10 games a year. I mean, of course, there's other events at Broncos Stadium, but it's not like you're busting out hundreds of parts a day, where if I'm saving you 10 cents per part or something, that money actually adds up, relatively quickly. So that would be a difficult one to automate. And again, going back to, what's a good task for a robot? Robots really like structured environments. They want stuff to show up in exactly the same place and exactly the same orientation every time. And I want to be able to put it over here in the same place every time. That's good for robots. That couldn't be any more unstructured of an environment. You got drunk people everywhere, bumping our table, everything else. Yeah, there was a lot of babysitting that robot that day. Yeah, back there.
So in regards to that, artificial intelligence?
Yep.
Where is the connection between the robot being environment and that?
Yeah, so MSI Tech doesn't do a ton in that, but some of our customers are doing it. And we're starting to get outside of my wheelhouse. But some of the stuff that I'm seeing is these guys that are creating these advanced vision systems that, you talk about deep learning or something, you're usually talking about taking thousands upon thousands of pictures, and you're crunching all of that data to understand what something is. Like probably the best example, in fact, I'm meeting with these guys as soon as we're done here, is we have a local customer. They are putting robotics into recycling centers. And so these giant conveyor lines come down at relatively fast speeds, and you're sorting all that stuff. You want to, let's say, pull off all of the milk jugs. Talk about a terrible job. That is a terrible job. And it's a difficult job to keep people employed at. They leave. It's hot, it's smelly, it's all those reasons. So anyway, these guys, they don't really barely even care about the robot. Their core competency, their special sauce is their vision software. So they're taking thousands upon thousands of pictures of milk jugs, whether they're this way, they're crushed, they still have liquid in them, they're this, they're that. And so all of that they crunch on their side, and that helps them figure out what is a milk jug. So we don't necessarily do a ton of that ourselves, but we're starting to see more and more customers doing it. Yep.
We have a very smart and capable engineer right here looking for a job.
Yeah.
You wouldn't happen to have any job openings?
I'm not on that side of it as much. I'll certainly touch base, and I can get your resume. I can get your resume into management. I'm not upper management. Also, I could have you swing by and we could just take a tour, and you can kind of see what we do and meet people face to face. That goes a long way. So yeah, absolutely. We can chat after this. Okay, so real quickly, I guess, besides robotics, we work with other technologies as well. This is sort of more traditional motion control equipment. This We've been doing a lot of robotics the last 5 years, but previous to that, most of our time was spent on this sort of stuff. If you're trying to move something from A to B, you need motors, you need linear bearings, you probably need some sensors, you probably need, I don't even know what else. Anyway, all of those tools are in our toolkit. So we can help somebody, whether they're trying to move something that weighs a gram and they have to position it within 2 micron, or whether they're trying to move something that's 500 pounds within 1/8 of an inch. We can provide the appropriate technologies to help them do that. It's kind of the same stuff. Not only the mechanical stuff, but also the PLCs, the industrial computers, the kind of the brains of those systems. That's also part of what we do. Basically, every single thing that you're looking at there, that don't watch it too closely, it'll give you a headache. But that's the type of equipment that we will help our customers design and build.
What is that doing?
That particular one, I just lifted it from one of my vendors. I don't know what it was doing. It looked like it had it did have a vacuum. I saw a pneumatic valve and a vacuum at the end of it. But that would be a really good example of just high-speed pick and place. You'd see something like that in, let's say, food and beverage. If you've got, little candies coming down this line and they're unsorted, they're kind of randomly all over the place, a robot would come over, pick them up, and then put them into the tray. That'd be a really typical example of a machine like that. Yes?
So for example, in the food and beverage, let's say I was Frito-Lay and I wanted a robot to peel all my potatoes, get it through the ovens, whatever, and then all the packaging. Do you take it from start to finish?
We generally don't make what I call a turnkey machine, where we design, engineer, build, drop it off there. Here's the keys. We train you. Cheers. We generally don't do that. There's companies that are called integrators, system integrators, most of whom are our customers, and we don't like to compete against our customers. So typically an example like that, we will partner with one of those integrators. He will make the machine. We'll be involved from a component selection standpoint. We might even be involved in like project management, that sort of thing. But the ultimate ownership of that machine, if you will, is him. For that, it probably wouldn't be a robot application. You're going through so many potatoes that it would make sense to spend the extra upfront money and buy design what we call fixed automation, meaning a machine that only peels potatoes, because they're doing millions upon millions of them. Yeah, the nice thing about robots.
We have about 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. The other thing that we do is industrial computing, industrial networking, remote access, all of that kind of good stuff that I personally don't do. So we can, any other questions?
Well, I have one for you. Some of your interesting projects there, those are very interesting. Do you have any local customers that you can share with us that you're working on some unique products or unique products?
Yeah, we have a couple of local customers. A lot of my most fun projects are under NDA, non-disclosure, so I can't talk about them too much, but we've done pretty neat stuff with ULA, United Launch Alliance, right over by IKEA. I don't think we're doing anything locally, but we've done some neat stuff with Sierra Nevada. Who else? We do a lot with smaller companies that maybe aren't necessarily household names, particularly with some of the new robotics stuff. Right. There's a company called Measure Logic right up the road from us. They're like Dry Creek in Yosemite. They make power meters. There's lots of these companies that you would drive by and never think about again, but they're doing cool stuff.
Right.
And, you know, same thing. Either he can't find staff or he needs to make more, whatever. And, you know, we sold them a robot.
Any other questions?
Any others?
Joel? I want to. We're not done with you yet. We're not done with you yet. We support a small library in North Denver, and we provide books. And in every new book, they get a book plate from one of our speakers. A book plate like this will be in one of the books that we put in there. So you're very welcome. Thank you. And we have one other job for you. You're going to make somebody very, very happy today, maybe. You get to draw a ticket and read the last 3 numbers, please. This is a legal lottery. We do have a lottery license.
Need a robot.
All right, I can automate this if you want. Last 3 numbers are 698.
All right, Karen. Oh, Mary Alice. Who's got it? Come on up, Mary Alice. Oh, Charlie's going to come up. All right. Thank you very much. Joel, thanks again.
Keep his pacemaker going.
You want me to hold this up for him? No.
This is Mary Alice's ticket.
Okay, that's right. We believe you. Here, let me hold this up. Here you go, Caroline. That's a shame. It's a shame, Mary Alice, you didn't win. Sorry. But you do get $10 here, Charlie.
Oh, boy.
$10 for lunch. There you go. Yeah. Okay, before we move on, I do want to say we have a Rotary Minute open on for the next week's meeting, and also a business minute. If you haven't signed up on the sign-up sheet, you can go onto the website and sign up. Okay, so you can't sign up on the website anymore?
No, not for that.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, so the sign-up sheet's in John's hand. And also, don't forget your blessing bags. And with that, please join me in the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Go out and have a great day.
Yeah.